my primary school in Sangli in Maharashtra, it was a practice to recite Maruti Stotra and Manache Shlok every Saturday after the morning assembly. These are popular prayers in Maharashtra, the first an ode to Lord Hanuman and the latter addressed to mind. We children used to recite these at the top of our voice. Koticha koti uddani jhepave uttarekade. He flew to the north, covering millions of miles. When we said this in a high pitched voice, it seemed Lord Hanuman would actually fly down to our classroom. When I grew a little older, I learned that both these prayers were written by Ramdas Swami. I was intrigued by this accomplished master who had written prayers addressed to the mind, instructing it on how to behave in this world. When I was an undergraduate student, I was very curious about philosophy. Those were the days when I had all the time and energy to read as much as I wished. My home had a huge collection of books. In addition, I would bring several Marathi and English books from libraries. My parents were professors, and dinner table conversations often focused on bhakti literature. All this helped to nurture my interest in reading. One day, I said to my father that I wanted to read Jnaneshwari. Dad said, first read Das Both. I didn't manage to read it then, but when I picked it up many years later, I finished it in 7 to 8 days through nightly reading sessions. I don't think any other book provides such a beautiful introduction to Indian philosophy in an easy to understand, simple language, which is why it is customary to first read Das Both and then tackle Jnaneshwari. In this 7th episode of Granth Yatra, we are going to talk about Das Both, written by Samarth Ramdas Swami in the 17th century. A very warm welcome to all viewers to this episode. Bhakti saints before Ramdas mainly composed poetry as an expression of their bhakti or devotion towards God, or to convey their feelings. They wrote to express their experiences at different stages of their spiritual quest, their yearning for God, and the ultimate experience of coming face to face with Him. Although this poetry was meant to enlighten the masses, that purpose was incidental. Ramdas, on the other hand, wrote poetry specifically to instruct the common man about his temporal as well as spiritual life. Ramdas was a very kind-hearted and ideal guru. He was born in the year 1608 at a place called Jamb in the Marathwada region of Maharashtra. Since childhood, he was interested in spirituality, and by the age of 12, he had a clear vision of his goal in life. As per the prevailing custom of those days, his marriage was fixed when he turned 12. But when the marriage rituals began, he realized that his path lay elsewhere, and he literally ran away from the marriage pandal. He reached a place called Takri on the banks of the Godavari river and began his spiritual practice. For the next 12 years, he remained engrossed in his practice. It is believed that it was during these years that he had a vision of Lord Ram and he attained the ultimate spiritual knowledge. He spent the next 12 years of his life visiting the holy places in India. During these journeys, he was able to closely observe the life of the people. In the last episode of Granth Yatra, when we discussed Eknath's Bhavartha Ramayan, we had learnt about the social condition of that period. The social fabric had been disrupted because of endless fights between the Mughals in the north and the 5 Bahmani kingdoms in the south. People had lost faith in their inherent strength. The perceptive mind of Ramdas quickly grasped the common man's plight under the foreign rule, the injustice meted out by the oppressing powers, and the society's divisions into numerous castes and tribes. He strongly felt that people had lost the light in their life, having forgotten the original knowledge of the Bhagavad faith. They believed more in superstition. He realized that they have lost the power to unite and fight against injustice. This gave him the direction for his future work. After returning to Maharashtra, Ramdas wrote a variety of poetic verses to educate the people. In addition to cultivating a strong mind, he focused on the importance of a strong body. He established hermitages at several places across India and prescribed a system for their efficient administration. Going against the contemporary fundamentalist thinking, he granted knowledge to women disciples and upheld their right to bless devotees. He even encouraged women to perform kirtan or singing in the praise of God. At a time when King Shivaji was carrying out the invaluable work in the political and the battlefield, Ram Das was active in the spiritual field and was helping build mental strength of the people. Das Bodh is the most important text created by this powerful preacher. The philosophy propounded by Shankaracharya and Jnaneshwar and taken forward by the Bhagavad cult is the base of this book. But here, this philosophy has been propounded in a very simple, straightforward manner through verse written in the OV meter. I personally think that anyone who has no knowledge of Vedanta but is eager to understand this philosophy should first read Das Bodh. Through this text, Ram Das explains each topic in the manner of an experienced teacher teaching his favorite pupil with great interest. We find beautiful and clear descriptions of concepts such as the 9 ways of bhakti, the 3 kinds of suffering, the 3 basic characteristics of an individual, the 5 basic elements and their relationship with the universe, pure knowledge, illusion, Brahman or the ultimate truth, dualism and non-dualism, and how this world is created from Prakriti and Purush, the primordial being and its power. Yet, these are not just technical descriptions, they are grounded in experience. These explanations are a direct consequence of the pure knowledge attained by Ram Das. For example, when narrating the characteristics of a person who is free from desire, he says, दृढ निश्चयो धरावा संसार सुखाचा करावा विश्वजन उद्धरावा संसर्ग मात्रे. Such a person should be steadfast in his resolve, should be happy in his family life, should work for the emancipation of mankind by reaching out to them. Or when describing non-attachment, he says, तुझे तुझ नव्हे शरीर तेथे इतरांचा कोण विचार आता एक भगवंत साचार धरी भावार्थ बळे. Even your body doesn't obey you, what to expect from others? It is only God whom you should adhere to with affection. When explaining how desire keeps a person rooted to family ties, he gives the example of a house. A man may borrow to build a house, but मूषक म्हणती घरामुचे, पाली म्हणती घरामुचे, मक्षिका म्हणती घरामुचे निश्चय येसी. The mice say it is their house, the lizards say it is their house, the fly says it is its house for sure. This life is but a camp for a few days. Where you pitch your tent is not important. Ram Das then goes on to describe the 3 stages of a person on the path of spirituality. दया नाही, करुणा नाही, आर्जव नाही, मैत्री नाही, शांती नाही, क्षमा नाही, या नाव बद्ध. A person who has no compassion or empathy, a person who is not humble and friendly, a person who is not at peace and does not forgive, is the person at the stage of bondage. A person who has plenty of imagination and desires, a person who is hungry for pleasures, a person who is overcome by love and emotions is a person in bondage. Most of us are at this stage, and then at some point we reach the next stage, seeking liberation. नाही पुण्याचा विचार झाले पापाचे डोंगर आता दुस्तर हा संसार कैसा तरो. The person realizes that he has never cared to lead a virtuous life, has accumulated mountains of sins, and the life has now become difficult. He now seeks a way out. आपले अवगुण देखे विरक्ती बळे ओळखे आपणासी निंदी दुःखे या नाव मुमुक्षु. One realizes his shortcomings, understands the value of non-attachment, condemns self, that person is a mumukshu. The person then turns to the path that leads him to the next stage, that of the seeker. अवगुण त्यागी दिवसेंदिवस करी उत्तम गुणाचा अभ्यास स्वरूपी लावी निज ध्यास या नाव साधक. Day by day he sheds his flaws, abides by the highest virtues, is focused on realizing his true self. Such a person is a seeker. Ram Das then reveals the nature of the supreme consciousness to such a seeker. जे जे काही निर्माण झाले ते ते आधीच ब्रह्मे व्यापिले सर्व नाशता उरले अविनाश ब्रह्म. Whatever has been created has been always enveloped by the Brahman. When everything is destroyed, what remains is the Brahman. But illusion hides this Brahman from us. To explain this phenomenon, Ramdas provides several illustrations. का ते दर्पणाचे मंदिरी बैसली सभा दिसे दुसरी बहुत दीपांची हारी बहुत छाया दिसती. In a hall of mirrors, it appears as if there is another group of people sitting in the room, or a row of lamps casts multiple shadows around. But the truth is that Brahman is the only permanent reality. तेजी असे परी जळेना पवनी असे परी चळेना गगनी असे परी कळेना परब्रह्म ते. That which gives light but does not burn, is in the midst of wind but does not move, is present in space but cannot be seen, that is Brahman. How weird it is that it pervades even our body, but we do not perceive it. It is so close, but we do not understand it. The other important characteristic of Das Bodh is that along with spiritual knowledge, Ramdas also gives lessons in how to live the day-to-day life. Life is usually so complicated that even a discerning person is sometimes confused about what is right and what is wrong. What is the right conduct? How to fight injustice without hurting others? What should or should not be done when leading a family life? Whose friendship should be cherished and who should be avoided? These are questions which even a non-spiritual person finds difficult to tackle. They are even more troubling for a conscientious seeker whose aim is to be united with God. Ramdas is aware of this dilemma and provides appropriate guidelines to his disciples through this book. After completing the invocation to God at the very beginning, he embarks on the main text by describing the characteristics of a fool. परपीडेचे मानी सुख परसंतोषाचे मानी दुःख गेले वस्तूचा करी शोक तोही एक मूर्ख. One who takes delight in the suffering of others, one who is pained by the happiness of others, one who laments a loss, such a person is a fool. Or one who accumulates wealth in immoral ways, one who abandons right conduct, morality and justice, one who turns away from friends, such a person is a fool. Ramdas cautions his disciples to stay away from such tendencies. One who considers himself wise and criticizes others, one who finds faults in everyone, such a person is an educated fool. Ramdas thus cautions against people who are self-righteous and criticize others. Similarly, he provides detailed explanations on great virtues, characteristics of an ideal guru, signs of a good disciple, and how to acquire discretion. Those who perform miracles, they also call themselves guru, but they are not true gurus who can provide liberation. In this manner, he cautions against impersonators. जो कोणी ज्ञानबोधी समूळ अविद्याछेदी इंद्रिय दमन प्रतिपादी तो सद्गुरु जाणावा. One who imparts knowledge, one who dispels ignorance, one who teaches control over senses, such a person is a real guru. Ramdas opposed rituals, mortification, and superstition. Fasting, inhaling smoke, burying one's own body, these are the signs of dark nature. Instead of following such practices, one should pray to God with a pure heart, says Ramdas. For the love of God, you may even have to distance yourself from your loved ones. In the end, one should surrender everything to God, even your life. Through his preaching, Ramdas gave lessons on practical behavior, administration, art of unity, politics, and sociology. This resulted in creating a society that was complementary to the nascent independence established by King Shivaji and one that was gaining strength by the day. Let us hear from Dr. Vimukta Raje how Das Bodh contributed to the making of the contemporary society.
17वे शतक जे समर्थ रामदासांचं कार्यकर्तृत्वाचं शतक आपण बघतो त्या काळात यावनी आक्रमण तोपर्यंत स्थिरावलेली होती. 5 पातशहा आपल्याला मराठी आणि संपूर्ण महाराष्ट्राला भारताला त्यांच्या गुलामगिरीत त्यांनी पूर्ण जखडून ठेवलेलं होतं. ह्या गुलामगिरीत पिचलेल्या माणसाला अध्यात्म निरूपण पारमार्थिकाचे धडे हे तर आधीपासून आधीच्या 4 शतकात मिळत होते. म्हणूनच मराठी समाज टिकून राहिला हे दिसतं. पण त्या समाजाला जर परमार्थाबरोबरच जर राष्ट्रकारण शिकवलं, कारण त्या 17व्या शतकातच एक महत्वाची घटना अशी घडली होती की शिवाजी राजांनी स्वराज्य स्थापनेचे प्रयत्न केले होते. ते प्रयत्न हळूहळू आकारास येत होते. अनेक किल्ले जिंकत आपला भूभाग विस्तारत स्वराज्य निर्मिती होत होती आणि हे काळाचं बदललेलं रूप बघून समर्थ रामदासांनी सुद्धा परमार्थ निरूपणाबरोबरच त्यांनी राष्ट्रकारण ह्या सगळ्यात महत्वाच्या गोष्टीला त्यांनी प्राधान्य दिलेलं दिसतं. हे करताना त्यांनी मुळात स्वतः 12 वर्ष भ्रमंती केली होती. त्यातून लोकस्थितीची जाणीव त्यांना झाली होती आणि मग परतल्यावर महाराष्ट्रात आल्यावर काय कार्य करायला पाहिजे, तर समाज गोंधळलेला आहे, घाबरून गेलेला आहे, असा समाजाला एकत्र आणायचं, संघटित करायचं, संघटना बांधायची म्हणून त्यांनी समर्थ संप्रदायाची स्थापना केली, महाराष्ट्र धर्म उभारला. हे सगळं करताना शिष्य त्यांनी अनेक शिष्य गोळा केले. अर्थात हे शिष्य गोळा करत असताना शिष्यांना एक ठराविक अभ्यासासाठी काही पुस्तक ग्रंथ रचना त्या काळी केली जात होती आणि त्याच संपूर्ण गरजेतनं म्हणा किंवा समाजाची आवश्यकता गरज ओळखून समर्थांनी दासबोधाची निर्मिती केली. 20 दशकांचा 7756 ओव्यांचा हा महाग्रंथ आहे आणि हा ग्रंथ जर आपण नीट बघितला तर असं लक्षात येतं की त्यात मूर्ख लक्षणांपासून समर्थांनी केलेली सुरुवात आहे ते शेवट उत्तम पुरुष लक्षणांपर्यंत ते पोहोचतात. दासबोध जर आपण पूर्ण वाचला, तो समजून घेतला, आचरणात आणला तर सर्वसामान्य माणसाचं रूपांतर जे आहे ते सामान्य माणसापासून उत्तम व्यक्तिमत्वापर्यंत होऊ शकतं. हे समर्थांना ह्याच्यातनं सांगायचं आहे आणि म्हणूनच एकीकडे शिष्यांसाठी आणि त्याच वेळेला समाजासाठी निर्माण केलेला दासबोध हा ग्रंथराज आहे. दासबोध ही समर्थांची वाङ्मयीन मूर्ती सुद्धा आहे आणि ह्या वाङ्मयीन मूर्तीद्वारेच आपल्याला असं दिसतं की समर्थांनी प्रपंचात राहून सर्वसामान्य माणसाला सांगितलं की प्रयत्नवाद त्याचा तू प्रयत्नवादाची दीक्षा घे, प्रयत्नवादाची शिकवण दिली. हा प्रयत्नवाद शिकवणं म्हणजेच काय, तर एकत्र ये, संघटित हो आणि जो राजा तुझ्या आजूबाजूला जे स्वराज्य निर्मितीचे प्रयत्न करतोय त्याला पॅरलली कुठेतरी मदत कर. ही एक मोठी काळाची गरज ओळखून केलेली गोष्ट होती. म्हणजे जेव्हा एखादं वाङ्मय कालातीत होतं, एखादा ग्रंथ, एखादं पुस्तक, एखादं साहित्य आपण म्हणतो की ते मैलाचा दगड ठरतं किंवा कालातीत होतं, त्याचं कारण असं आहे की ते नंतरच्या काळात सुद्धा तसंच्या तसं लागू पडतं. याचं सांगण्यामागचा हेतू असा आहे की मी जेव्हा दासबोधाचा अभ्यास करत होते तेव्हा त्यांनी जे सगळं संघटना शास्त्र जे शिकवलेलं आहे, म्हणजे समर्थ पहिल्यांदाच आपल्याला म्हणतात की ते वेगळे कुठे झालेत, तर मुख्य ते हरिकथा निरूपण, म्हणजे तुम्ही देव, अध्यात्म, हे परमार्थ हे करायचंच आहे, पण ते करत असताना राजकारणाकडेही लक्ष द्या आणि हे सगळं करताना सावधपण बाळगा, हा चातुर्याचा मंत्र त्यांनी त्याच्यात दिला. आणि समर्थांनी हा जो प्रयत्नवाद, हा चातुर्यवाद, हा सावधपणा ज्या दासबोधातून शिकवला, तर त्या दासबोधाच्या आत्ताच्या काळातल्या व्यवस्थापन शास्त्राशी जेव्हा मी सांगड घालायला लागले तेव्हा असं लक्षात आलं की हे पूर्णपणे साधर्म्य ह्याच्यात दिसतं. जे 20व्या शतकातलं व्यवस्थापन शास्त्र आहे ते 17व्या शतकातला तो समर्थांचा प्रयत्नवाद होता. म्हणजे संघटित समाज संघटित करणं, कुशल नेतृत्व करणं, त्याचबरोबर त्यासाठी महाराष्ट्र धर्म समर्थ संप्रदायाची स्थापना, यातून सामान्य माणसाला स्वतःच स्वत्व निर्माण करण्याची ऊर्जा देणं, हे काम त्यांनी दासबोधाद्वारे केलेलं दिसतं. आणि शेवटी मला इतकंच म्हणावं असं वाटतं की दासबोधातून त्यांनी आपल्याला अनेक डूज अँड डोंट्स आत्ताच्या काळात सुद्धा जे वापरता येतील ते सांगितलेत आणि याच दासबोधातून संवाद कौशल्य त्यांनी शिकवली आहेत, संघटना कशी बांधायची ह्याचेही धडे दिलेले दिसतात, व्यवस्थापन शास्त्र शिकवलेलं आहे आणि त्याचबरोबर जिथे जिथे गरज पडली, मग ते शिष्य असू दे, समाज असू दे, गोंधळलेले जे जे कोणी त्यांच्या समोर आले त्यांचं समुपदेशनही केलेलं आहे. आत्ताच्या काळात ह्या सगळ्यात वेगवेगळी मंडळी आपल्याला एक्सपर्ट दिसतात, पण एकटे समर्थ आपल्या एका दासबोधात त्यांनी फार मोठी वाङ्मय निर्मिती केली. पण समर्थ संप्रदायाचा जो आधारभूत ग्रंथ दासबोध आहे आणि स्वतः त्यांची वाङ्मय मूर्ती म्हणून दासबोध ओळखला जातो, त्या दासबोधातनं त्यांची ही सगळी व्यक्तिमत्व जी आधुनिक काळाच्या आजच्या 21व्या शतकाशीही जवळ जाणारी आहेत ती आपल्याला दिसतात.
Years have passed, but human nature hasn't changed much. And for that reason, the philosophy taught by Ramdas is useful even today. The emphasis on constant effort advocated by Ramdas is equally essential today for the creation of a strong nation and a healthy and civilized society. Ramdas did support a class based society, and many scholars have attacked him for this reason. However, his views should be interpreted in the context of his time. If we follow his teachings and become loyal to our duties, persevere in relentless efforts, and give up dependence on fate, we can certainly strengthen the social structure based on equality that we strive for today. Thus, Dasbodh is an excellent book that can guide a seeker from the initial level of day to day life to the ultimate stage of spiritual liberation. Ramdas strives to help everyone reach the stage of knowledge and union with God that he had himself attained. To guide a seeker who has skillfully negotiated his worldly life, has attained the state of non attachment, and has taken the path of spirituality, reached the stage of ultimate knowledge, रामदास सेज ऐक ज्ञानाचे लक्षण ज्ञान म्हणजे आत्मज्ञान पहावे आपणासी आपण या नाव ज्ञान. Listen to the characteristics of true knowledge. That knowledge is the knowledge about self. When you see your true self, that is the real knowledge. When the seeker attains that knowledge, he or she is liberated from the cycle of birth and death. It scares away the fear of life, it maims death, it shatters the cycle of birth and death. That is his promise to the seeker. The book that provides such a sincere guidance as well as practical lessons on daily life should be part of everyone's reading list. Even if you are able to read just one section every day, understand it and contemplate on it, that will provide a key to leading a meaningful life. Do leave your comments about this episode on our channel and don't forget to share it, like it, and subscribe to it. We shall meet again next Friday to befriend yet another book. Until then, keep reading.